Hello, Karen here, Merging Soul Tarot with your Sunday read. Um, I'm not going to do the Tree of Life read yet again. It just seems to keep happening, so I'll go with the flow and bring what I feel is the right thing to bring. Just as a little bit of an explanation, I have two cards out here, one from the White Light Oracle, the other from Queen of the Moon Oracle. And I pulled these personally to understand some energies that are kind of seem prevalent in the collective consciousness, to inquire what they're about. My Queen of the Moon deck I don't normally use in readings. It's a private deck, but I really felt to bring these cards because got a sense there's some poignant messages here that we should ruminate, contemplate, look at, have a look at ourselves through, including me. I'm not excluding me, including me is what I was actually doing. But I think this has got to do with the collective, and all of us as individuals make up that collective, and our unconscious makes up the collective unconscious. We're not separate from it, okay? I'm also aware at the moment that we're at the first quarter moon. So the light's gaining after the dark of the new moon, the new seeds. Typically a time where we struggle, which might be exacerbated. Well, it is exacerbated, let's be honest, because the new moon was an eclipse. The full moon in Scorpio is going to be a lunar eclipse, okay? So there's these energies that Celtic Cartomancy, Iwin from Celtic Cartomancy explained it as an undercurrent, this kind of undercurrent, almost like a poisonous undercurrent. Go check out her page for Friday. I think that was Friday's read. Very interesting. But yeah, so there's this sense that there is this undercurrent. There seems to be two separate things happening. So I made this inquiry and was a little bit blown away when I looked at the cards. So the first card I got from the White Light deck is number 44, Ishtar's Lion Gate, 888. Now, the Lion Gate, you probably all know, it's based on the Egyptian culture, and when between the end of July and the 8th of August, the dog star Sirius would rise and the Nile would rise and bring in water and bring prosperity and abundance and fertility to the people on the Nile. So that's the Lion's Gate, and where the Lion's Gate come from. It's abundance, fertility, prosperity. Ishtar, and it's a number 44, Ishtar, she is the queen of the night, okay? She's a dark goddess energy, Ishtar. So Ishtar is that bird goddess. She's a priestess. She has talons, wings, carries a rod and a ring in her hand, okay? But she is known as the queen of the night, and also that dark goddess of loss and letting go, okay? So she denotes in the moon cycle that last few days before the new moon, where the moon appears to disappear. Okay, yeah, and it's very dark, basically. But with Ishtar and this oracle, Ishtar is relentless in her pursuit of the path to true inner freedom, okay? So this is why I found this so interesting, along with a load of other stuff that popped to mind while I was questioning and inquiring of what this energy was. Okay, this oracle card is about willingly surrendering attachments and identities, okay, even to the point of separating temporarily Okay, with boldness, confidence, so that she could pursue and go into the realms, shamanic journeying, visioning, but it's a place of vulnerability, okay, to discover deep truth. The thing about Ishtar, Queen of the Night, and that dark moon phase, which we will be travelling towards by the end of May. I think the new moon in Gemini is on the 1st. So it'd be that period of days before that new moon at the end of May. That new moon time, it signifies the releasing of seeds, okay, the going into surrender and detaching and going inward is also associated with the dark goddess energy and cycles such as menstruation, and in ancient and even in some tribal communities now, the women would withdraw from general society and they would pursue their magic, because the menstruation blood was the blood of creation, the flow of blood. It's also connected with in life ages, the crone, the age of the crone, and the age of the sage. So male or female, it's about feminine energy, not about men and women, but that wise elder energy, okay? So incredibly interesting, because there's a sense of awe and to a degree fear, I think, with darkness. And we've also been taught that these times, this darkness is, dark equals evil, bad. Ishtar is also synonymous with Lilith, dark moon Lilith. They've got the same, they're flanked by lions and owls, and they hold that rod and circle in their hand, disc, okay. So it's the same energy, and Lilith in mythology was the one who wouldn't be subservient to Adam in the biblical story, and went off, and she was basically demonized. So there's this sense of fear with this energy for both women and men, okay, that dark goddess, that dark sexuality, that time of menstruation, that time of older age, and the wisdom and the energy that brings us, it's death, it's the death cycle. A lot of fear connected with that. But this card is actually not just about the darkness of Ishtar, it's also about the light, because that dark moon period where we let seeds go, or if you look at it in menstruation, the blood flows out. There are more seeds for creation. It's time before the light comes, the new cycle starts. So the new menstrual cycle starts, the new creativity. It's a renewal. And it's a renewal from suffering often, okay? So it's, Ishtar is about higher consciousness. It's about loving wisdom, okay? And it's also a sense of prosperity, peace, healing, love, same as when that Sirius star rose, that's what came. So I was sitting and reflecting on all of that, and what has this to do? We got the light, we got the dark, so there was a sense of that polarities. So I pulled a moonology card, and this is incredibly interesting, because what do we get? We get the waning gibbous, but we get fear. Okay, it's when that moon has gone past the full moon. It's not quite the crescent, hasn't gone to the last quarter, but the light is waning. Okay, so the dark is gaining. So we have this depiction again of dark goddess, the goddess of the night energy come up again. So incredibly interesting in terms of, what this is about. But this card is depicting fear. And, our ancestors were fearful when the dark come. They were very fearful at the dark moon phase simply because they couldn't see their predators. And there's healthy fear. If we have a fear that keeps us out of danger, that's a healthy fear. But there's also fears that are completely unhealthy for us, okay? And I think with this, we need to, particularly about the dark feminine, that dark goddess energy, we need to start looking at things in a healthier way and not fearing dark shadow. Because the shadow feminine, I mean, we're seeing it played out everywhere, within the earth, within nature. There's a shadow to... there's a negativity in the sense of what we're doing to earth, okay? We're bringing out that kind of rage of the dark feminine that's been suppressed, that's been pushed underground in that sense. And this applies to us whether we're male or female, because we all contain feminine and masculine energy. And when we repress either our masculine or feminine energy, it will rise up in shadow form because it will be expressed. So we can often have this fear of the dark. We've been taught for millennium to be fearful of the dark. So we have this playing out, this pushing down of the fear, avoiding death, avoiding darkness, demonizing things that are meant to be magical, mysterious and beautiful, rebirthing, renewal. Just like a diamond is produced when it is under layers and layers and layers of rock, being pushed down, being squashed, being put under enormous pressure, and it creates that beautiful diamond. This happens in our lives. We run from suffering, from darkness, from death, but actually the diamonds are in there. I always say it, the crystals are in the darks. We're seeing this shadow where we're avoiding it coming out, not only in our natural world, we're seeing it played out. I really don't like it personally because I don't think it should be televised. You got the Depp and Heard, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, that people were mesmerised by. Why? Because there are two people who are moving and displaying the active dark feminine shadow. I'm not looking at who's right, who's wrong. There is addiction, there is abuse, there is violence, there is rage. These are expressions of the shadow, the repressed dark feminine coming out in unhealthy ways, okay? And then we can see it in our own lives, okay? We have fear that will stop us fulfilling our dream, or even getting things done that you want done. Okay, the experience of fear is actually built in us to protect us, okay? It's chemical, it's the way our brain works to protect us. But, that just the naturalness of fear, it'll produce chemicals for us, won't it? To help us run away or make our body react in a certain way to get us away. But I'm going to put this down, my arm's aching. But our unhealthy fear, that fear, that fear that is unhealthy, that fear that prevents us from doing the things we need to be doing, okay? Fears that are built within our subconscious, fears that we're conditioned to feel, fears about our bodies, our cycles, or if you're a woman, you know, we're taught to fear and be ashamed of things. Men are taught to fear the dark feminine, that eroticism, that magic that within themselves and within women. We are taught to fear in that way. Okay, and it makes us afraid, and we don't want to face. Part of this Lionsgate, energy is actually the the ability to face the darkness both within us and outside of us. It really is. It is about integrating our experiences, facing our fears, okay? Yeah, we feel vulnerable, we feel scared, but actually to have courage is not to be without fear. Fear and courage encapsulates a huge dose of fear. They're integrated. You can't have courage without fear, and you can have fear without courage, but fear, when it's being used properly, that energy, when it is not something that is, we need to run from, there are times we need that healthy fear to keep ourselves safe. But when it is that fear that is unhealthy, that is preventing us, okay, this Ishtar card, and Ishtar as Queen of the Night, is a loving presence that seeks to bring you into renewal, not to further repress. Because when we repress, that will become within our psyche, within our minds, something that is demonic or dangerous. The feminine will look dangerous when it's not. It's really not any expression of the feminine or masculine. When it is being allowed to flow, is not toxic, is not dangerous, it's beautiful. It's only when it's repressed it becomes a raging storm, okay? But this Ishtar, it is the capacity of our soul to integrate all of our experiences, okay? So that's experiences of the dark and the light. And don't forget that dark moon in the lunar cycle, just before the new moon, is the portent to light reappearing, okay? Plus it germinates seeds. There's growth in the soil, in the darkness, and I mentioned about the diamond too. But it's about, if you're reaching the greatest steps of suffering, it's about emerging from that, being reinstated with more wisdom, okay, with spiritual power, with compassion. Okay, so Ishtar is that guardian and symbol of resurrection. Okay, so this week it's a sense of looking at fear. Okay, if you're holding any fear, face it. Face it with someone else if you're too afraid. But face it. I'm going to pull some tarot. I'm going to pull from the spill. I feel a bit kind of... Yeah, it's an interesting message. Okay, we're between these eclipses. I mean, again, the picture that comes, the ancients had fear over those eclipses. Okay, there was a sense of fear. We're between two now at the first quarter moon. You may be in that place where you're feeling that undercurrent, where you're sensing, the stand in between two worlds. I think in the eclipse, this energy, this Ishtar energy, it is dark energy in that sense, but not bad energy. You've got these beautiful, the dark really is the womb. It's the womb of the earth. It's the womb of the woman. And it's the cosmic womb. It's where things grow, where things are rebirthed out. There's something really powerful in that. But if we're too scared of the dark, we shut ourselves down because we see it as evil. That's millennium of religious teaching, you know. Dark equals Satan, dark equals the devil and demonic and evil. It's wrong. Sorry, gotta say it's wrong. And we're missing in the feminine something really powerful. Gestation of a child is in the dark. I mean, come on, what comes out of that? Such beauty, right? We've got the 9 of Pentacles. We've got the 3 of Wands. And we got the 7 of Pentacles on the bottom. That's really interesting energy. So we're talking worldly stuff, okay? In this sense, you know, our Pentacles. So we got the 9 of Pentacles is that, you know, that independence, that in fact that independent woman, okay, that you see in the Rider-Waite. She stood there finely dressed with her hawk, with her bird. You know, it's not an owl, but it's a hawk, and it's a similar feminine kind of energy again. And please don't think if you're a male this doesn't apply to you, because you sit with feminine energy in you, the same as females like sit with masculine energy. We're a blend of both, okay? So this card, you know, it's about discipline, self-reliance, refinement, refining that fear, finding that courage, and a detachment from materiality, okay? Can be about our economic crisis, expulsion and exile. Well, really, if we're looking, I'm looking at shadow energy here, if we're looking at that shadow energy of that dark female that's been put in exile, it's gone into exile. We're taught to fear it. We're taught to have this about it. You know, witchcraft, you know, demons. Yeah, and there is healthy fear. You know, if you're out in a dark night, you know, and you hear footsteps behind you, it's probably a good place to have healthy fear and run for hell and leather. Okay. But we should not be afraid of the dark feminine. It's part of a beautiful cycle. It's part of the moon, lunation. It's teaching us something. So with this energy, you know, there's an expulsion and an exile. You know, what have you, where have you exiled yourself within? What have you pushed away from you that needs facing? We've got this energy of resurrection here, okay? That happens in the dark. You know, even the Christian myths, you know, it says that Jesus went into the belly of the earth, into hell for 3 days before he's ready. It talks about the dark. I see Jesus as the myth of that story of him dispensing with the underworld, and the underworld is not hell. The underworld again is feminine regeneration. It's about regeneration, the same as the seeds fall into the earth. They lay there dormant, and then they crack their shell and they regrow. They re-energize, they resurrect into a new cycle, a new life. Okay, so, you know, have a look what you've pushed into, you know, your version of hell, okay? Because I think there's a time between these eclipses of facing the fears of what you push down, the shadow, okay? And collectively we're doing this. Nobody is doing that on their own. Everything that we've exiled, everything that we've pushed away, okay, is coming back. Because we are meant to have that beautiful, independent, powerful, wise energy that creates in this world. We're creative beings. We really are creative beings. We're meant to go through these cycles of darkness and light. I feel, you can probably tell from my voice, I feel really passionate about it because I've been, I think I've said before, I was within the church heavily, in a Christian, very radical, fundamental Christian community. Where even tarot reading would have been of the devil, of the dark. We've got to understand that we've been affected by these views, especially in the West, and we are neglecting that part of our feminine cycle of the Queen of the Night. Okay, the Queen of the Night is a resurrector. Okay, so then we got this Two of Wands. Okay, so the shadow aspect, because these two are pull the light aspect afterwards, but these are the shadow aspects I'm pulling here. Okay, so the Two of Wands, it's fire energy, so it's sexual and creative blockages. Okay, it's about our mind interfering with energy. So our passion, our desire, our vision, our creativity, the fire in our belly. Where have we repressed our sexuality, our sexual desires, our sexual passion? We've seen so much of that, haven't we? The squashing of any form of sexuality that's not about procreation. That's happened over millennia, not this beautiful, fertile, abundant energy that is meant to be coming through. Okay, if we transform that, we're talking about, owning our personal power again. So independence, about having boldness, being original, our creativity flowing. Okay, using that sexual energy for spirituality. There is a time, you talk about the night, the goddess of the Queen of the Night, that time of that dark moon, the time of menstruation. Women were thought during that time, when they withdrew and went inwardly, to have that kind of creational force through their blood, where they would have that sexual energy. They didn't become asexual during menstruation. It was thought they were incredibly magical and powerful at that time, tapped into their sexual and creative energy. That's what this is about. Okay, so I'll pull us to Starman Tarot. I'm just looking at the time there. We need to face these fears, whatever they are, whether they're about our passions, our creativity, our sexuality, our fears of the darkness, the fears of the feminine, fears of the masculine. We need to redo the whole darn lot. We need to tap into what's real, okay? And the cycles are real, the cycles of nature. They're right in front of us. They're cyclical. Birth, life, fruit, flower, fruit, decay, death, seeds in the ground, rebirth. We too are in that cycle, and we need to tap back into it, and our own bodily cycles, where we are in that cyclical creative process. If you're over 50, male or female, you're in a dark moon phase. Yeah. And you need to embrace that, because, you live life to the full then. You tap into your magic. It's a magical age. Okay, so we got with the Nine of Pentacles, we've got the Five of Swords. With the Two of Wands, we've got the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, so here, we were talking about repression, repressing that independence, that powerlessness, that sense of not claiming that independence and that ability to do, to be your full self within the world, to create what you need to create, to participate in life. And under this, we have this Five of Wands, okay? So our Five of Wands, our Five of Swords is our air energy. So this is our kind of intellect, the mind. But this is about winning winning at any cost. If we're looking at money, finances, possessions, all the worldly things, relationship, other people, to win over and have and own and possess, if we've got those attitudes, we're going to be in this energy, okay? The fixation on outcome, okay? But it can leave behind that wreckage and upset when we're in that energy. If we're using an inappropriate, using inappropriately, our position or our power, or if we're ignoring our hearts for temporary gain or for greed, okay? But this can be an energy of, seeking out an advantage and striking while the iron's hot, okay? And being willing to do unpleasant tasks, okay, for the greater good. So if we're looking at this Nine of Pentacles, to move towards that kind of independent, powerful energy where you're a creative entity in the world, that's what we need to do with this. Strike while the iron's hot, and it's between these eclipses. I'm really telling you, it's a cycle. This cycle is a powerful one. Strike while the iron's hot. Look at where your shadow is. Anything that's mentioned and anything else that comes up, look at it, face it. Ask for courage. Ask this Queen of the Night, the Queen of the Lunation, of the dark moon, whoever it is. Your inner dark goddess. Ask for that courage to face any darkness in you or any fear. Strike while the iron's hot. And then the Eight of Pentacles, again, what you're doing in the world. I mean, real Taurus energy, this is, doing the work you're destined to do, okay? Mastering that work, honing it, perfecting it. This may be inner work, maybe spiritual work, but it also might be the work you do out in the world. But it is about having a meticulous attention to detail and commitment, commitment to quality of what you're doing, okay? Not that kind of lack of application or dedication to your work, whatever it is. But there can also be a fear in this, a fear of not being able to thrive doing what you love. So going into some boring dead-end job that drains the life out of you because you're fearful you're not going to thrive. Yeah. And I've done some boring dead-end jobs and loved them. When I was travelling, I worked in factories, riveting industrial refrigerators together, jet washing, workers, toilets. I've done all of that and loved it. I've made the most of it, enjoyed it. I'm not saying, that's not a judgment on the types of jobs people do. When I say dead end boring, I mean, if that's your attitude to it. It's what were you created to do? What were you created to do? So I'm going to pull us a couple of healing cards. It has been heavy, but I'm guessing there's a lot of us out there tapped into this kind of polarity of energy. I mean, we're in spring. It's beautiful out there. There's hope. There's life blossoming. we're moving towards a full moon, but there's an undercurrent, there's that polarized energy. Yeah, like I said, go and have a look at Iwin's pool and astrology for Friday, because it's very interesting. And let me know if you've been feeling that kind of real polarity of energy. We're being invited to face it and clear it, I think. Yeah. So with this first one, make clear, calm thinking your goal, yeah? So it's not, that Five of Swords is clearly not calm, clear thinking, okay? It's like outcome at any cost, or fight and win, whatever. Yeah, it's that having that vision and then using your mind as a tool. And use equanimity to calm your emotions. Look at the full picture. Look at every side. Look at the whole caboodle. Okay. So we got mind and emotions there. Okay. And that's under our fire card. So I really hope that was useful for you. I really felt I needed to bring those cards that started off as something personal. Yeah. Okay, so things to look at and reflect on, this week in the lead up to, I think we got one more, 15th, 16th of May. We have that eclipse in Scorpio. Maybe this is a time to kind of really face the things that we like to suppress, especially when it comes to that dark feminine energy. I really have a thing about it at the moment. All right, lots of love to you all, and I will see you on Tuesday. All right, lots of love. Bye-bye.